Breaking the gray.
All right. Sarah, how are you?
I'm good, thank you, Russ. How are you?
Yeah, doing well. Spiritual vision quest to Taos, New Mexico, I think helped clear my brain. I'm super excited today because you yet again opened up your world to me, and you're inviting some of your greatest friends, and today's session is going to be amazing. I've been stretching. I'm ready to go. I got my loose fitting clothing ready to go. So I'm excited. Who's here today?
So yes, today we have my very good friend Eugene Vegan Butcher, who is yoga teacher extraordinaire, and I think he can tell us more exactly about the yoga. It's acroyoga. But we're going to talk to him specifically because he's been doing a dry fast, and he was kind of messaging me as he was doing it, and we've just seen him. He's just come up on the camera now. He looks fantastic. So we want to hear all about that, because to me, it's a 7-day dry fast. That's pretty hardcore. And I think a lot of people will be interested to see how that goes and what that's all about.
Well, I mean, if a dry fast makes you look like that, Eugene's a very handsome devil. Yeah, well, I mean, you look amazing. What is a dry fast? I think the audience would love to know what that means.
Well,
let's go over to you, Eugene, because you are now the expert.
I don't know about expert, but a dry fast, as I only learned myself 4 weeks ago, is a fast with no water, no liquid of any kind, and no food.
Wow, that's a commitment. Are you feeling okay?
I feel incredible. Incredible, but I just want to say that when I first heard about this maybe 5 weeks ago now, I thought it was madness, and I had no intention whatsoever of doing it. I just didn't understand it at all.
Yeah.
Is it dangerous?
No, it's not. Especially if you follow the guidelines, and I followed a really well researched and tested protocol. It's called the Phoenix Protocol, and it's not actually dangerous. In fact, it's one of the best healing. No, let me change that. It's the best healing modality I've ever come across, ever discovered.
Wow. Sarah,
Sarah,
I'm of zero words. Sarah, you go. Have you done this, Sarah, before?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
No, I haven't at all. I have done a juice fast, and I hated every minute of it. And I don't know if that's just a reflection of my addiction to food, possibly. And it's something that I've actually resisted looking at, fasting, because obviously in the biohacking world, there's a lot of information about fasting. And there are some fasts which are, less intense, like intermittent fasting, where you can just stop eating at a certain point during the day. So I suppose in a way I do that, because I don't eat after about 6 o'clock in the evening. I don't eat at all until
amazingly enough, I wanted to feel committed to this podcast, and I truly did just break. I just broke a 36-hour fast with a cup of coffee.
Oh, wow.
And I will tell you, we were around a lot of food last night. Well, thank you. We were around a lot of food last night, and the cravings. It was enchiladas and. It was a struggle, and I fasted a lot, but for some reason last night was a struggle. How do you push through those cravings, and at a certain point does your body just stop craving?
Well, for me, Russ, this is the fascinating thing for me, because like you, when I heard 7 days, to begin with, I wasn't even thinking 7 days. I was thinking, first of all, why would anybody do a dry fast? It's utter madness. And I've been really in touch with hydration, prioritized it. We're mostly water. Our bodies are made up of water. So for me to hear about not drinking was for more than a day, 2 days was kind of insane, madness.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of glad that I asked the question, what do these people know that are doing this that I don't know? That they think it's at least, you know, they have some reason for doing it. They're not just doing it for the fun of it. So I started looking into it. And what the first thing that got my attention was a YouTube video. And the guy was just documenting, you know, I think he did a 4-day dry fast. And he had a set of scales that measure body composition. And each day he said, look at the reading of my scales. And the reading that got my attention was his hydration. And each day into the dry fast, so he wasn't drinking, he wasn't eating, his body hydration was going up. And that just, I'm like, wait, how is that? How can that be possible? So that got my attention, and I started researching more seriously. And then I found a book that's called The Phoenix Protocol, and it's written by a really interesting guy called August Dunning. And August Dunning used to work for NASA. And he was one of the main chemists and physicists responsible for astronaut health and well-being. And so I thought, okay, if NASA trusts this guy with their astronauts, then you know, there's he obviously knows what he's talking about. And even now, he's no longer employed by NASA, but he's still involved with the trips to Mars. And those astronauts have got even more health challenges with the extra radiation that they've got to deal with and things like that. So this guy's used to solving, you know, and optimizing health in really difficult, challenging situations. So anyway, long story short, I started listening to him, reading his book, got his book. First book I bought in ages, because I normally just watch videos and listen to audios. And I thought, okay, there's definitely something here that I didn't know about. And he describes this process called autophagy. And autophagy is this process that begins when we stop eating. It only really happens, to my knowledge, when we stop eating and we stop drinking. And it's the process of stripping out what are called secescent cells. And secescent cells are any cells that are not functioning properly. And Sarah will kind of fill me in or correct me if I'm going wrong here. But any cells that are kind of dysfunctional or not optimal, and the body either eliminates them or breaks them down and then use them to rebuild with new cells, new stem cells, new immune cells. And I thought, okay, wow, there's far more to this dry fasting thing than I realized. Let me give it a try, thinking it's going to be really, really hard. And like, oh my God, you know, how do people go for 3 or 4 days? I wonder what it's going to be. I know. Let me just, no pressure. Let me try 1 day, right? And I pulled a muscle in my knee last week, and I knew it's nothing serious. I thought, okay, I'm going to need to rest this for a few days, so no exercise for me for 2 or 3 days. I thought, oh, okay, perfect. Now it's a chance for me to test this dry fasting thing, because I don't know, will I have energy? Will I be able to concentrate? So it'll be good that I'm not moving around. So great, I can get 1, maybe 2 days. Maybe I can suffer through 2 days. So I started at midnight on Wednesday, literally. I'm watching the second hand on the clock, and I'm gulping my last bits of water, right? And then obviously I went to bed that night, and I woke up the next morning. And the first day was fine. I had a dry mouth. It's the first time that I can remember that I've not drunk anything all day long. But that was it. I wasn't hungry, and I wasn't particularly thirsty. I thought, okay, that's not too bad. Maybe I'll try day 2. Day 2 came, no worse. Dry mouth, wasn't particularly hungry. In fact, I wasn't hungry. Wasn't hungry for the whole 7 days, and I wasn't particularly thirsty. But what I was also doing, my sister bought me a set of scales that's similar to the scales that I saw this guy using that measure body composition. Do you know the ones I mean? They've got little circles on.
Yeah.
So you stand on them, and it measures, it tells you your body. Body fat percentage, hydration, muscle mass, bone density, BMI, all these statistics. But the only 2 I was really interested in was hydration and body fat. And only body fat, I'm not that bothered about losing fat. Oh, that's a nice benefit. That wasn't why I was doing it. But because the explanations I heard was that body starts breaking down body fat and pulling or creating water.
Yes. And
it's one thing to hear that theory and to hear it from a guy that looks after astronauts on the way to Mars, right? But it's another to step on a set of scales and see it for yourself, and see for yourself every time you step on the scales. And these scales are like $40 or £30, and they link to an app on your phone. You stand on it, and then it shows you on a chart. And you can see, in my case, every time I stepped on the scales, my hydration went up. I can probably show you this on my phone, actually. I'll pull it
You
up
were
in a
sending
second.
that to me as you were going along, Eugene, and it was fascinating to me because,
Right.
I mean, if you Google how long can you go without water, you know, Google will come back to you and say 3 days.
Yeah.
You know, then they're saying, you know, then you die. You know, that's
Exactly.
basically what it says on Google. And then you're sending me these pictures of the scales.
Mm-hmm.
So I was thinking to myself, how on earth is the body making water?
Yeah.
And so, you know, I knew that you could make water in the mitochondria, but I actually looked, and yes, you know, the body can, once you get past a certain stage, start to break down fat in the body and take off a hydrogen, add it to an oxygen, and there you go. You actually can create quite a lot of water in the body. And in fact, the water that you create is probably a more bioavailable and a purer water than you can drink.
Well, I can prove that to you. So I've just pulled up. So can you see this?
Yes.
I can see that. Yes.
So for our listening audience, it's a chart. It's a blue chart. Yeah.
So that's an app. That's the app from my phone, and you can see it climbing like a staircase, right? So those are the 7 days when I stopped drinking and stopped eating. My hydration continues to climb for 7 days.
Wow.
Yeah.
You see it drop off suddenly.
Yeah.
That's when I started drinking at the end of 7 days.
Right.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
incredible.
Isn't that crazy?
It actually drops a little bit after you start drinking the water, because you're not making that pure bioavailable water so much anymore, and you're actually then.
Yes. So like you said, that the water your body makes for itself is more efficient and more effective, and hydrates us more effectively than the water we drink.
Can I go back real quick, Eugene?
Sure.
Are you consuming anything at all during those 7 days?
Nothing at all. Nothing at all. And that's on the water side. That's really key, Russ, because apparently if we just have a mouthful or two, and I had a friend that did it before me, and she found it really quite tough and quite challenging. I think there was a number of reasons, and I kind of learned from her struggle, and that's why I expected it to be really hard. And she kind of did a prep beforehand, and which was just juicing, I think for 2 or 3 days. And then she did a dry fast. So first of all, I think she started the dry fast hungry, because she was just juicing. Yeah. And secondly, she was in a kind of support group with lots of other people who were kind of there to support each other, which kind of straight away kind of ups the ante a little bit. Do you know what I mean? And there's bound to be someone in that group who's going to have a challenge, a headache, or their nose hurts, or their elbows wobbly or something. And do you know what I mean, though?
I do. Yes. And we've talked a lot about the collective conscious and what that is, and
And I thought to myself, if I'm doing this and it's tough, I just want to do it by myself, and I'm going to listen to this guy, the author of the book, the guy that worked for NASA, that NASA trusts with their astronauts. There's a brilliant video he's done, and every 7 days, and he just cuts. He gets into a hot tub, and he's there in his swimming trunks, and he goes, "Look, guys, it's day 2, and here's what's going on in the body, and I'm just chilling and taking it easy." And that's the main thing he's trying to get across to you in this video. It's just this isn't tough, guys. It's easy. Just chill out and take it easy.
He just wanted to tempt himself by sitting in a tub of water.
There you go. Well, this is a funny story, right? On day 3 or 4, I can't remember which one it was, and I was doing fine to that point. I thought, okay, my mouth's dry, I can cope with that. I feel fine. I feel good. I can see my hydration. That's really reassuring. You know, I'm not panicky. I'm not worried. I can see my fat coming down. But you know what? You know those cans of fizzy orange that you get? And I just suddenly got this crazy craving, and I thought, you know what? I've done 4 days. That's pretty good. I only plan to do 2.
Yeah.
Why not just go around the shop? It's just around the corner. You could crack that can open. And this August Dunning in the video, he says, look, just one application of this can result in 24 years life extension.
Right.
One time, 1/7. And I'm like, okay, I don't know how he arrives at
what was
number,
that again? Can you repeat that again? How many? One
7-day dry fast, according to August Dunning, can result in 24 years life extension, 24 years extra life that we wouldn't have had otherwise. Now, Russ, don't ask me how he arrives at that, if it's true, if it's, but I'm thinking to myself, wait, so a can of fizzy orange and a moment of gratification or 24 years life extension. What's it going to be?
Right. That's a lot of time. I mean, 24 years.
Exactly.
I think back 24 years ago, I was drinking a lot of stuff, and that did not include water. I'm curious as you go through. I mean, I'd love to hear you. So you craved fizzy orange. Are you craving water? I mean, do you just desire to want to drink water?
No, and the craving is not that bad. And you know what I did the next day? I didn't crack. I thought, come on, you day 3, day 4, you can hold out. And then what I did the next morning, I went out and I bought I spent, I filled my basket with all my favorite drinks, and I brought them back. I packed my fridge and I had them all around me. And like each time I went out for a walk as well, I thought, look, I don't know if I can, what if I suddenly reach the point and I hit a wall and need to stop? So I always had a bottle of water with electrolytes in it, just in case, just for peace of mind. And I kept these things around me, and people were like, how can you not drink with those drinks, within reach? Yeah. But because I wasn't thirsty, I just had a dry mouth. My body didn't need need liquid. So it's just a dry mouth in isolation, which I've never really experienced before, because normally if we have a dry mouth, we are dehydrated. We do need a drink.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So on your chart, day 7, you were at peak of hydration.
Yes.
Could you have gone longer?
Absolutely. And some people do. But, I only intended to do 1 or 2 days. And the nice thing about 7 days is it's that optimal kind of time and payoff, kind of a tipping point where, yes, there's more benefits if you keep going, but it's not that you've had the major benefits already. And Augustine in the book and in the videos, he talks about this process that's called autophagy. And on day 4 and 5, the body goes into what he calls aggressive autophagy, where it's breaking down cells that aren't efficient just at a rate that is never done before. This is the only time the body goes into this state called aggressive autophagy.
Yeah. And that's really the major benefit, isn't it, Eugene, that people talk about, is this breaking down of all those cells, and but then also the production of stem cells, which enables you to renew, it's like a total renewal of all those bits and pieces of the body that need that input. Absolutely. So I think that's where most advocates are saying that's where the benefit is. If you can get to that stage where your body breaks down all that stuff that doesn't need so much, replace it with these new stem cells, that's where you get probably your 24 years or whatever he's saying. But certainly
it's where he gets his good looks, is what happens. That's what happens.
Well, obviously something.
And the fascinating thing is, we don't need to do anything. We're just stopping. We're just stopping something. We're stopping eating, and we're stopping putting things in our mouth. And the body goes, smart, thank you. Now I can get to work. Just chill out and let me get to work.
Yeah.
Are you doing anything else during the time? Are you meditating, yoga? Are you doing other things?
Not really. Just taking it easy. I mean, I was pottering around. I was doing a bit of DIY, taking it easy. I'd go for a walk. I was doing some stuff on my laptop. But I think that's an important point for us, and it's what August says as well. Look, just take it easy. Binge watch some Netflix or something. Just let your body do what it's trying to do.
Yeah.
So you don't feel like your energy levels are dropping or anything like that.
No. And in fact, every time I went out for a walk, I had to remind myself to slow down, remind myself to take it easy, because my energy was great. I'm more hydrated than I've ever been. I'm not hungry. The only symptom is a little bit of discomfort, and that's a dry mouth. But after a while, you get used to it. So you feel, I felt great.
Yeah. I think I would put one caveat in, because I, of course, am going to defend why I can't do all this. Like I say, I can feel the resistance and the denial when I was speaking to you last week. But one thing is, you are a very healthy person generally, because if we're going to talk to people about doing this, I think one caveat would be is that you started off from a place where you had a plant-based diet, you had a healthy, active lifestyle. So probably your mitochondria were in a fairly reasonable state when you started. So I think for people who are starting out, maybe that is something just to consider, because we do have to put a little bit, if you're assessing whether or not this is something that's right for you, to be in that good state to start with, you don't want to go from, totally eating rubbish, drinking Coke, being a bit overweight, to totally boom, this extreme.
Sure. And you know what? I'm not actually here to promote dry fast anyway.
No. But I just want to put that out there, because people are going to be listening to this and thinking, 24 extra years, I'll have some of that.
Yeah.
But I just want to state that because I was listening to this guy, Sim Land, because I've heard a lot about this, but I have my own resistance. Do you know what? I think one of the things why I resist it is because I don't like stopping. I think, oh God, am I going to have to set aside a week where I don't do anything? And that's a big leap for some people. It's not even so much the food and the water, it's will I not have enough energy to do what I want to do? And that's, I feel that resistance. We are in a very fast-paced lifestyle, and like the thought of maybe
7 days. I mean, we need some kind of like lockdown thing where we're not meant to be doing anything. When one of those comes along, right?
Yeah.
Right, exactly. This is what creates our, I think if you lock us in, our human nature is to, we still want to experiment. We're like, why not experiment on ourselves? We're home.
Absolutely.
Why not?
Well, this is exactly right, to Eugene's point. He's exactly right. My reasons are just kind of falling away for not doing.
You know what? So I was the same though. I thought it was madness. I had no interest whatsoever in stopping drinking. And then I read about the benefits, and listened to August, the NASA guy. I thought, okay, there's something here. Let me try one day. Can I do a day? Yeah. And the thing is, our life experience hasn't prepared us for what it's going to be like, because we've never stopped before. So we don't know what it really feels like. We only think we know. We think we're going to be hungry. We think we're going to be thirsty, and we're not.
Yes. Yeah, you're right. And also we do take on board, if we are told, okay, you can't eat or drink for 3 days, you're going to die. We have all of this conditioning, which is not from our direct experience. It is from things that we have been told, and maybe we take on board, which goes for a lot of things in life, not just the fasting thing, and especially in science now, it's about unlearning some of those things. But to get a direct experience, really, that's where real science is. So that's really a rebel science move.
That's right. That's right. I go back to my brain of my daughter's been dehydrated, had to go to the hospital before for dehydration. So staying out of the sun, are you doing anything like that? But it sounds like you're still producing water, so you're not even close to dehydration. If anything, you have more water. Absolutely. Russ, I was more hydrated when I finished at the end of 7 days than when I started, by a long way.
Yeah. Isn't
that? I can tell you if you want to know how many percent, I can tell you how many percent.
Well, it's good you're measuring. I mean, that and as a quantifiable measure, you're on top of those things. I'm curious, you mentioned going in hungry, and your friend did it as well, and what did you do to prepare? Did you do anything to prepare? Or did you just kind of go in cold turkey, like, I'm doing this?
No, you know what? And this is the thing. My friend, she did, and she had all this preparation. 2 days juicing. She ordered a new juicer, which she was going to juice at the other end, and that and this and this and that. And I went on a dry fast group, and I just searched, do you have to preparation? And I saw a few guys say, no, you don't have to prepare. Because when I knew I was going to rest because I pulled a muscle, I thought, well, can I just start tonight? And I just Googled it, and I said, no. As with a lot of things, some people say swear blind, you have to prepare with juicing and different things. Other people say, no, if I want to do a dry fast, I just start. And I thought, great, let me just do a day. So no preparation for me. And I think that worked in a way better, because there's no big build up, there was no drama, it's just no pressure, no expectation. Let me just experience it. Let me just try a day.
Yeah. I the vision I have in my head is that cowboy walking his horse through the desert, out of water, dragging your, blisters on his skin. That's my vision. He's just dehydrated and he just dies. And it's crazy that you're saying, but maybe he lived for, a month without any water too. We have no idea.
Yeah, exactly. But I think you make a good point about the environment. And if you are in a hot place and you're losing moisture through sweating or perspiration, then that's obviously a factor. I was in London in February, so
Yeah, we live in the fog. All three of us live in the fog. I live in the fog bank of San Francisco. You live in a much colder fog bank, but it's absolutely fascinating. So when you're done, what's the first thing you do? What do you do on day 8? Do you just take a bath and just, are you just pouring water down your throat, or what are you doing?
Okay, no. So this is why I very nearly tripped up as well, because if I had only done my 1 and 2 days, this refeeding situation wasn't such a big deal. But after 7 days, then you need to be much more careful. And so how you refeed, and what August Dunning suggests is you get a teaspoon of baking soda in a glass of water. And that's the first thing. And it helps with the lining of the esophagus and the stomach, which have basically done nothing for 7 days. And he says, just in his video, he says, look, don't try and gulp it, because you'll just bring it back up again. Just take about an hour to sip it. And I thought, this stuff must be really disgusting. But you know what? It's quite nice. Baking soda. And
anything in your stomach is quite nice at that point.
Exactly.
You're one of those characters who can make the best out of anything.
Yeah. Maybe you just have great tolerance. I mean, maybe we're just...
honestly, try it. Get a teaspoon of baking soda in a glass of water. So, and that gives us one of the electrolytes, and which is sodium. And then he says, look, it's important to get some potassium and some magnesium. And he says the next thing is get some sparkling mineral water. Now, do you know some Mexican water called Topo Chico or something like that?
Topo Chico.
Topo Chico. Is that how you say it?
Yeah.
He says it in his video really quickly, and I couldn't quite hear it. So he loves this stuff, and he said this is really nice mineral water. And he puts in it something called tangy tangerine. I'd never heard of tangy tangerine. Right. It sounds like a brand name, but it's vitamin C. And then after that, most people take bone broth. I am plant-based vegan, so I started juicing celery juice.
Okay.
And I didn't. So that was midnight, and I was drinking till about 2 or 3 in the morning.
What were you having, Eugene? Because I don't suppose you were finding tangy tangerine and special.
No, what did I have? I got something called Camu Camu. Tangy tangerine is quite expensive. It's like 70 quid a tub.
Oh, is it?
$100 for a tub. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, really expensive. But I got some other bits and pieces. And there's have you heard of what's it called? Physitine. There's a few supplements which extend the benefit of this autophagy and the cell renewal. And I wasn't hungry until the next day. I didn't eat until the following afternoon.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
Eugene, you mentioned something earlier, and I want to. You're not here to promote dry fasting. What do you do as a profession?
I teach something called AcroYogaDance.
Okay.
It's easier with pictures. If I was there with you, I'd lie down on my back. I'd ask you to stand up, give me your hands. I'd put my feet on your hips, and I'd lift you in the air.
Yeah. We have a friend. My wife and I have a friend. I will admit it's a friend of my wife's, and he and his wife do this on the beaches of Florida, everywhere. And she was just recently pregnant, and I was like, that's dangerous, but it seems like an incredible balance, understanding balance more than anything else.
Yeah, it is a lot of balance, and it's a lot about also balancing kind of our ability to communicate and trust each other, and so it's a fascinating study in those things.
Yeah.
And it's empowering, because I know I came and I had a session in your studio and did some things that I didn't think I could do, and it gives you a sense of, and I'm sure like the dry fasting gives you a sense that you can achieve things that you maybe didn't think you could.
Yeah.
I mean, I know when you did the fasting, you said, that was one of the things. At least, if you get somewhere where you haven't got access to food and drink, at least you now know, you have that knowledge in you that you're going to be okay. That was one of the...
Absolutely. If you're stranded on an island somewhere for 7 days in what would otherwise we'd probably perceive as like you say, a survival situation.
Yeah.
You can just go, okay, great.
Yeah.
I wanted to do a dry fast anyway, so why not?
Yeah. Just going to do it.
It's something about the human brain as well, I think, Eugene. I think it's probably something that you've understood about your brain, is that you know how to not set, goals that are outlandish, but you stretch you stretch yourself, you push yourself. And I think getting through a dry fast probably has something to do with the way you've trained your brain. Is like going one more day, not a big deal. Lifting a 200-pound human being over me and balancing him on one hand, not a big deal. But when you started, it was a huge deal, right? So
exactly, yeah, absolutely, Rush, absolutely. When we teach this stuff, when we practice, we just teach tiny little progressions. Just a little bit more. It's so much so that it probably the progression is imperceptible. We don't even notice it happen.
Yeah.
Just continuous improvement. I just want to ask one last question of you, Eugene. Did you have any insights, or was there anything that came out of it? Like maybe more on a spiritual, psychological side that you took out of that experience? Apart from what we've talked about, the physical and that other motivation, but was there anything else that you learned about yourself in that 7 days?
There was definitely a sense of kind of peacefulness and clarity, and very much like you said, this sense that we're capable of so much more. And I know there are people that do much longer dry fasts than 7 days, and I know it could have continued. Right. And it's just a sense of that, like you say, that we're capable of so much more than what we realize.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you look totally radiant now. You really do.
Thank you.
So,
well, you know what? I went to a good friend of mine runs an amazing kind of, I didn't realize quite how amazing, well-being clinic, longevity center, life extension, whatever you want to call it. And she said, "Look, come in and we'll measure your body composition, do your stats." So, okay, great. I can test my little scales. So I took my little scales with me, and they measured me on like proper medical grade equipment. And as soon as I went in, she said, "You look really good." And I said, "Oh, thank you." She said, No, I'm not just saying that to be polite. Your face, your eyes, the white of your eyes are completely white.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, now you mention it, I don't spend my time looking at my eyes in the mirror, but normally when I do, there's little lines and bits of bloodshot, and I always say, why are those there? But when I looked, I thought, oh yeah, there's none of that. They're just clean.
Eugene, thank you so much. Will you please let me know how 2080 is, since you'll be living probably very nicely in 2080 and 2090.
You know what you need to do. We'll be there together. Just 7 days is all it takes.
I'm gonna do it. I do fast. I try to fast once a month, at least 1 day or 2 days. For some reason, this last night was incredibly difficult, probably because there was my favorite enchiladas around. But I love this. I think everyone will find this fascinating. As comes with everything that Sarah is bringing into our lives, we always say, please use caution. Please
absolutely
consult a professional. And Eugene, is there any parting words you want to leave us with as we all attempt our dry fast?
Well, yes, Russ, can I forward you the YouTube link to August Dunning's YouTube channel? Yep. So that if anybody wants to try this, they've got the expert at hand, like I had, because that was invaluable to me, just being able to turn him on every day. And I'd listen to the day, if I was on day 3, I'd listen to him talk through day 3 2 or 3 times. Yeah. And I'd listen to the next day as well to kind of get a bit of a anticipation of what was the benefits of tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So if I can forward those to you.
Absolutely, please. We do a blog for all of our sessions. And as you say that, I think about Neil Armstrong going to the moon, and there's no way he was trekking around a bunch of bottles of water as they all headed to the moon, him and Buzz Aldrin, So
right.
there is something here, and I think it's very powerful. So Sarah, once again, blowing my mind. And bringing the rebellion forward. I appreciate it.
Well, this is a true rebel scientist.
Absolutely.
So, yes, thank you so much, Eugene, for taking the
My
time
pleasure.
today. Yeah, it's great to see you too.
Really enjoyed it. Thanks for having me, guys.
Cool.
Take care.
Thanks.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Sarah, you're there. I see you.
Yes. Hi, Russ. How are you doing?
I'm well. And you?
Yeah, very good. Thank you. Very good in rainy The Hague.
Oh yeah. I'm in rainy the Half Moon Bay. It's been gloomy and 60 degrees, which means and the rest of the world is on fire, and we're enjoying cloud cover. So
Well, today's interesting. We're going to follow up on our vegan butcher, Eugene, who didn't talk about his yoga, but we talked about his thirst fasting, right? His fasting.
Yeah, the dry fast. Yeah.
Dry fast. Yeah. I say thirst because that's what I felt after I tried it.
Yeah. Yeah. It was very interesting. And we both saw Eugene and saw how amazing he looked on day 7 of his no food, no drink, not even a shower.
Yeah, I mean, I think he started looking great, and he probably looked better. But it was a good foundation for him. He already started, as a good-looking man.
Oh, I see. Yes, we didn't get a baseline. Yes, you're right. Yes, of course. Yeah, we didn't get a baseline. So actually, that's part of what I wanted to say about this episode was. But I think Eugene does have a very good health baseline. I mean, he is a yoga teacher. He does acro yoga. He does a lot of strength training. So he was in a very good place to start with to do his fasting. Yeah.
He definitely looked, and you could see he's just very fit, and it sounded like he was very fit. So that's our disclaimer that, this dry fasting, you probably need to be in somewhat good shape. I mean, did you try it? Because I didn't last more than a day I fast from food, but from liquids, no. But you tried.
I tried it for a day, and I must admit, I won't say I got ill, but I got very, very shaky. And I think that the difference is, one, I didn't take the time off, which again was something that Eugene said, really you need the time off. And he was sort of suggesting that I was in lockdown and it was something I should take the time to do. But unfortunately, I just wasn't in the space. So I tried to do it over a weekend. I thought, right, if I can just do Saturday and Sunday. So I lasted Saturday, and actually I did get very shaky and I didn't continue the fast. And I was thinking and wondering why it was. And I actually I got a blood sugar monitor because I was, really shaky, like it wasn't good, wasn't pretty. So I did the blood sugar monitoring, and actually I have quite high blood sugar in the morning. And that was, of course, we're talking about getting more awareness. That was very interesting.
Yeah. What does that mean for you? What does that mean, having high blood sugar in the morning?
Well, to be hypoglycemic means that, there is an issue with your blood sugar. Maybe your hormone levels aren't quite as they should be. Cortisol may be raised. Maybe there's a bit of a stress response going on there. So that was an interesting finding for me. So I started recording my blood sugar every day, doing the finger prick test. And I do have a little bit of hypoglycemia. And I think that certainly contributed to having more difficulties doing the fasting. Yeah. And since then, we've spoken to a lot of people about keto. So I've switched to the keto, the high fat, and I'm doing much better. And actually, my blood sugar's stabilized. Yeah. So I think what I want to say about the fasting is, one, it is very interesting, and we should read the book that Eugene mentioned and certainly look at the videos. And I know that there's another biohacker called Simlan that we will maybe get on, who talks a lot about this autophagy and how it leads to life extension potentially. But I also think it's horses for courses. You have to kind of have an awareness for where you are at that time. How much time have you got to do it? For women, like what stage of your cycle are you? There's a lot of things to take into account before embarking on something like a 7-day dry fast.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying I won't do it in the future, but I think I need to get myself into a place where I feel happy to do it, where I've got stable blood sugar, where, I have got the time and the space to take it easy over those 7 days.
Yeah. And it really screams, quantify thyself for safety reasons.
Yes, it does. Yeah, maybe even get a health coach to take you through it. I mean, I think you can tell pretty much straight away if you're going to get on with it or not. And, when Eugene was talking to us, he was telling us more, for him, it wasn't a problem. In fact, I think actually he quite enjoyed having the time off, not having to do all of that kind of the chores of the shopping and the cooking and everything else. He actually enjoyed his time and felt very good. So I think, you trust your body. What's your body telling you?
Yeah, it was fascinating when he shared his stats, and he showed us the numbers. I mean, that it's fascinating that his body was producing more of the liquid than he was when he was drinking water, which was just, I mean, so we leave with a disclaimer. Be prepared, know your numbers before you attempt this, and probably work with a health professional. Sarah is a health professional, so I trust her, and I will call her late at night and tell her, I'm not feeling well. What have you done to me? And she's like, it's okay. You'll get through this. But that's our takeaway.
That's our takeaway. It's definitely do your own research, look at it, and maybe build up to it. Like I say, perhaps it's something that we'll take on a bit later, because I can see both of us are we're going through all of this biohacking journey, and we are getting a lot better.
Absolutely.
So, you know, it's stepwise. I would definitely take a look at it. And we get Eugene on again to talk about his acro yoga and how he does all of that, because obviously whatever he's doing is working.
I wish, and honestly, we probably should do this since we're doing this via Zoom. We should get the image of us when we first started Rebel Scientists and the image of us now.
Yeah.
You look amazing. You look very fit. You look like you're toned. I have dropped 20 pounds. Like, this is, I mean, when we talk about our friend, Troy, we talk about Abel and Deanne. I mean, these are all people that are doing it. They're walking the walk, and, it's hard not to, glean off of that and want to, feel the way they do. I mean, their spirits are just up there. And so, I think we're hoping that everyone that listens can, get a little bit of that positive energy. But in this case, probably best to have a health professional, and don't embark on it unless you really know yourself, and get ready for it, because you can't just jump into this one.
Yes. It's not a one size fits all, this one, so but definitely read up on it. And like I say, Eugene was obviously, he's a fabulous example. But yes, we will watch this space. We'll see how we get on.
Absolutely. Well, enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.
Thank you, Russ. Take care. See you soon.
The Rebel Scientist podcast is a Breaking the Gray production, created by Russ Eisenman and Paul Wood, hosted by Sarah Turner, music and sound editing by Logan Shea. For more information and other fantastic podcasts, visit breakingthegray.com. That's gray with an E, breakingthegray.com.
Breaking the gray.